party. The president and his public and private sector accomplices, they have warped the truth so well that they either have people so bamboozled or just people just don't, I don't know what's wrong with them. But they are liars. Everyone else will say it's a misspeak, it's a half-truth. They're liars. They're liars. And you have to be dirt strong in what they have lied about. We talked about last week the lies that we were seeing on Benghazi and everything else, and I said, hey, can we put together a list of all the lies? Well, we did. I don't know. We're never going to get through them tonight. We barely got through them in 2 hours on radio. It's going to be the left that will come out in favor of war in Syria, and they'll be joined by John McCain. Obama already has come out and said it. Last fall, he, quote, listen to this, signed a secret order authorizing U.S. support for rebels seeking to depose Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his government. That comes from Reuters. He's coming out against the war in Afghanistan, but for another war. After years of fighting, America grew tired and weary of our position in the Middle East. We don't even know what we're doing over there, and you're about to see it get much, much worse. Iraq became one of the most unpopular wars in our history. Today, with the Russians preparing to send advanced arms and Hezbollah and Iranian forces joining the Syrians, progressives are prepared to do exactly the same move we did 10 years ago. The Democrats then said they were totally against. We'll join you now, Democrats. We're there. Why have you moved? The only difference is the party in power. To justify a war in Syria, they will tell you, 1, all kinds of lies. 2, they will revise history, claim that they have always been on the right side of history, even though it was the progressive left who authored the agreement against foreign aid and intervention in Iraq. At the same time, it was the progressives, Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson, who decided that they would be the world's policemen. And the third thing is, anybody who says differently, they will call them liars, racist, extremists, sexist, bigots. They'll say anything to take them down. It's a 3-step process, and it comes straight from 1984. First, lie. Second, revise history to fit the story. And 3, smear. Take down anyone who speaks out and exposes. If you try to expose their lies, they will smear you. Remember this pattern. They will call you a conspiracy theorist. That's Cass Sunstein. Without anything to support it, they will malign you relentlessly until you fall out of the public's earshot and history forgets about you. Last week, the Huffington Post posted an article about me and my top 9 conspiracies, but spent 0 time trying to verify their stories and disprove me. Not a word. This is exactly what they did and are doing now with healthcare. They said your premium will come down by thousands of dollars. Healthcare will be cheaper for the entire nation. If you like your doctor, you'll be able to keep it. If you like your plan, you'll be able to keep it. It's not true. According to a new study that even MSNBC reported on, watch.
The Nonpartisan Society of Actuaries predicts medical claim costs will rise an average of 32% under the Affordable Care Act and likely will increase premiums for people who don't get insurance through their employers. The jump in medical claims costs is expected to vary by state. By 2017, Florida would see an estimated 20% increase, with California's costs going up 62% and Ohio's rising something like 80%, according to this study. The Obama administration was quick to dismiss the study as speculative, but Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius did acknowledge some people will see their health care costs go up.
Remember, people have asked me for a long time, why, Glenn, why would they say these things? Why? What would be their motivation? Because they believe in them, and they believe you have to break a few eggs. And so if they have to lie, if your health care costs have to go up to be able to get to universal health care, they'll do it. They'll do it. And all they're doing by calling people conspiracy theorists and everything else is trying to buy time. Because you'll argue about, no, it's not a conspiracy, and then it's too late. The same thing is going to happen with war in Syria. It will happen. Unless you know, you cannot trust the media, you cannot trust the progressives in either party. We told you the end goal was a single-payer system in healthcare, and we knew it because of their own words.
Someone once said to me, this is a Trojan horse for single payer. And I said, well, it's not a Trojan horse, right? It's just right there. I'm telling you. We're going to get there.
Okay.
Over time, slowly, but we'll move away from reliance on employment-based health insurance, as we should.
And this is the important thing. In time. In time. When they tried to tell us that the individual mandate wasn't a tax, we said, yes, it was. But they said no, again, in their own words.
If your family earns less than $250,000 a year, $250,000 a year, you will not see your taxes increased a single dime. I repeat, not one single dime.
Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Tax, a charge usually of money imposed by authority on persons or property for public purposes.
George, the fact that you looked up Merriam's dictionary, the definition of tax increase, indicates to me that you're stretching a little bit right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone to the dictionary to check on the definition.
Well, no.
I mean, if what you're saying is...
I wanted to check for myself, but your critics say it is a tax increase.
My critics say everything's a tax increase. My critics say that I'm taking over every sector of the economy. You know that. Look, we can have a legitimate debate about whether or not we're going to have an individual mandate or not. But
you reject that it's a tax increase.
I absolutely reject that notion.
Okay. This is funny because, like, first of all, you have to go to the dictionary like it's a book of magic spells. You're just looking for the definition. Just want to make sure we're clear here. It passes, and then the Supreme Court has to decide, is it legal or not? What does the White House do? They go in and argue that it is a tax, the largest tax increase in the history of the world. Even Elena Kagan wanted to make sure she clarified that point with the Obama White House Solicitor General, the attorney, during the hearings. Listen.
Suppose a person does not purchase insurance, a person who is obligated to do so under the statute doesn't do it, pays the penalty instead. And that person finds herself in a position where she's asked the question, have you ever violated any federal law? Would that person have violated a federal law?
No. Our position is that that person should give the answer no.
And that's because?
That if they don't pay the tax, they violated a federal law.
But as long as they've paid the penalty.
If they paid the tax, then they're in compliance with the law.
Notice he is specifically saying... She says the penalty, and he says, no, it's a tax. It's a tax.
A penalty.
Right.
So there it is. It's a tax. We were right. George Stephanopoulos wasn't stretching. Furthermore, they denied that the bill was redistribution in any of its intent.
Do you deny that you're a man who wants to redistribute wealth?
Absolutely.
You deny that?
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. But Howard Dean doesn't anymore. Here's what he said on CNBC.
I think it has, when it gets out of whack, as it did in the 20s and it has now, you need to do some redistribution. This is a form of redistribution.
So why are we bringing this up to you? Because we're about to go into global war. And I don't know, when I say about, I don't know how long it'll be. Might be 2 years, might be 5 years, might be tomorrow. I have no idea. But Syria is an important turning point. We're in a proxy war right now with Russia. We'll tell you about that tomorrow. But it's important that you really, really understand the lies that have been told thus far, because they're only getting worse and much more dangerous. We'll continue in a minute.